Well, Coach, Western Michigan coming off a big win over rival Central Michigan and head west to DeKalb, Illinois to take on the Huskies next Tuesday. Why don't you start with an opening statement and then we'll take questions.
Winning is hard. Winning rivalry games are even harder. One, because you can throw records out the window, but also because it means so much to so many people. The focus for players and coaches can sometimes be taken off of what's important, which is the game and our assignment. So really proud of our players and coaches. Great victory, but they have bought into the vision and culture that we've created here, and they continue to get better each and every week. Was also proud of the ability to overcome adversity. Central had a great second start to the second half, 21 unanswered points in the third quarter. Our guys' grit and resolve and belief in each other to overcome that adversity and after losing the lead to come back and make some plays to get us back in the game and eventually win the game. I think that was significant for the foundation and culture that we're building, and what we have preached from day one is starting to show up. Really proud again, of everybody in the building, the commitment, buy-in, the effort that they've given, no matter our record. And I don't want to take away from the significance of 2 rivalry wins and keeping, both trophies here at home in Kalamazoo. So it was great. We had a great crowd, great home atmosphere. It was unbelievable atmosphere from action. I want to thank our fans, students, band, cheerleaders, everybody who showed up. It was an electric atmosphere. Our players fed off of that energy. It helped us in the fourth quarter. It created that home field advantage that we've talked about, and it was really exciting to see. I thought we played well in all 3 phases, and so, we took turns making plays. Complementary football, which we've talked about a bunch, which I was proud of, and it really took every single person in the organization to get that win. Really proud of that effort. We're switching gears towards Northern Illinois, really good football team. They're 4-6. The thing that we have to do, shift focus to our next opponent, not allow a hangover or complacency to set in, thinking that, 2 very emotional wins. We're playing a good football team this week. They've got a really good offense. They lead the league in rushing yards per game. On defense, they're one of the top defenses in the league. I think they're ranked 22nd in the country. We're both in the same boat in terms of this game going in at 4-6, so it'll be an important game. And what's most important is how we prepare and shift our focus and energy, everything that we have, to preparing the right way, just like we have the last couple of weeks, and making sure that our focus is now on the Huskies.
All right, take questions.
Looking to NIU, they've got an experienced quarterback. Just what goes into the game plan of just limiting him and what makes him dangerous as a signal caller?
Rocky Lombardi is a really good player. He's played in a ton of games. He has a ton of experience. He's seen any and everything that you can throw at him, which I think is what makes him dangerous. He does a great job keeping their offense efficient and on track, taking what the defense gives them and seeing looks and reacting and responding. So he does a great job as the leader of that. But they've also got some really good players around him. When you look at their offensive line, they're very veteran, physical up front, like to run the football, have some good running backs, have some good skill players and tight ends, but he orchestrates a ton of that and does a ton of it at the line of scrimmage and is able to get them in and out of bad looks or calls. And so we have to do a great job staying disciplined, because he can hurt you not only in the passing game but also in the run game, eluding and avoiding pressure and rush. And so I think it'll be a great matchup. As I said, their offensive line is one of their strengths. Going against our defensive line, we've got our work cut out for us, and the biggest thing is stay disciplined in our assignment and alignment.
You talked about overcoming adversity last week, and I don't know if there's any other player that's overcome more adversity than Kanai lately, and you talked about that. I just wanted to focus on him. When you met him coming into this program, did you know that he was going to be a kind of a special person and player for this program?
After my first interaction and meeting with Kanai, I knew he was special. He is a special person. He's overcome so much adversity in his personal life to be where he is. I mean, he's, a guy that you want to celebrate and highlight for all the things that he's had to go through, and to still be great young man, great leader for our football team, to work and bring the energy that he does, and it also to show up on the football field, his impact. You really can't say enough great things about him. Coach Espo and those guys on defense spoke highly of him, but after our first meeting, I knew he was special. We've kind of built a special bond. He loves to be coached hard, and I make sure and do that. And so he responds. I thought he did a great job at the start of the fourth quarter, getting our whole team up on the sideline, giving a great kind of rallying cry. We were down at that point. We'd just given up 21 points, and there were a lot of doubters. And I think he instilled belief and confidence in the way that he addressed the group and held them accountable and went out and made plays to help impact that game.
In his growth as a young man, just you watching him, during this season, has there anything that stood out from maybe not playing, when he first started his career here to now? Just what's been so impressive about his growth as a Bronco?
Kanai shows up and works hard every single day, no matter what's happening off the field, no matter what he's had to overcome. And he's had some challenges, and some family things this year that tough to deal with. And it's weighing on his heart and his mind, and that family is super important to him. But he shows up the same way, the same person every single day. I appreciate that. He's grown in a ton of ways, especially maturity and leadership. He was a guy who wasn't initially on the leadership council, and we voted him in later because of his effort, attitude, toughness, and his discipline was on display every single day. And he's a great leader and one that has a huge impact and voice in that locker room. I'm excited to have him on our side.
Looking at the secondary beyond Kanai, I mean, he's had a fantastic year, but it seems like week after week we see somebody else step up. I know it was Tate Halleck early, Anthony Romph last couple weeks, Wofford, and then Tuesday night, Kone had a huge game. Just that secondary for you guys, it seems like whoever you're putting out there is coming up with big plays. Just what have you seen from that group throughout the season that's just kind of either impressing you guys or pleasantly surprising you guys out there?
The cornerback group has done a great job being prepared for their opportunities, making plays, making impact plays for us, different guys on different weeks. I think Coach Seliskar does an unbelievable job relating to those guys. He played here, he went to school here, he went on to play in the NFL. He knows what it's supposed to look like and what it takes, and I think he does a great job from a technique and fundamental standpoint, but also from a relationship building standpoint. He gets the most out of those guys, he challenges them, he keeps them accountable, and those things are starting to show up. And really across our team, you're starting to see that. Different guys in different weeks show up and make plays. On the D-line, when Marshawn was out, multiple guys stepped up. Corey Walker, Tyson Lee, Mason Nelson. On offense, multiple guys have taken their turns making plays. And that's really the game of football. And what we've preached and tried to instill in our guys is prepare the right way every single day, just like you're the starter, no matter what your role is, and maximize your opportunities when you get them.
In looking at, I know you were not here for it, but last year's matchup, this was a close one here at home at Waldo, and it was one that Western was leading. Unfortunately, didn't end the way they wanted it to. What have you maybe heard from guys that were here last year about, the hunger for this Northern Illinois matchup, maybe more like a rematch of wanting to get revenge and keep this thing rolling along for you guys?
Our players and coaches who have been here and played against these guys say it's always a great, tough game. It's tough to win there, something that we haven't done very much. And so I'm well aware of Northern Illinois. When I was a player at Alabama, they beat us. They had Michael the Burner Turner. And so I'm very familiar with the Huskies and how good of a football team they are. When you watch them on tape, they're good in all three phases. They're disciplined. They play physical. They play hard. They've beaten some really good teams. I mean, they beat Boston College to open the year. They beat Ohio. They've had some, games. The last 2 games haven't gone their way, but they are a really good second half team. They're outscoring their opponents by a large margin, outgaining their opponents. So they never quit, they never stop, and it's going to be a 60-minute battle for us.
You mentioned earlier, making sure you guys do transition. There isn't a hangover. How have you guys, how have you seen guys embrace that transition of now getting ready, getting ramped up? Because again, this weird action of it's not a fresh Sunday in a brand new week. Your week kind of starts Wednesday, but how these guys have embraced this new week of action football.
Guys have done a great job attacking the new week, making sure that we reset and refocus, which is what I challenge them with every single week. And sometimes it's harder when you win a couple of games back to back, especially emotional rivalry games. I thought that the Leadership Council really spearheaded that. They came in with the right mentality and mindset this week, and our locker room goes as those guys lead, and they've done a great job so far this week.
How late were guys dancing in that locker room on Tuesday night?
It was a party in the locker room for a while.
Anyone else?
Coach, back to Tuesday night, that run by Jalen Buckley I thought was that's something that I haven't seen before. I've seen a lot of breakaway runs at Western Michigan by some great backs, but most of the time it's just them just outrunning everybody. There was contact at the line of scrimmage, the middle of the defense, in the secondary, a spin move, and then outrunning the last guy to the end zone. Have you ever seen a run like that?
That was a special run, but also at the point in time of that game where we needed a play, and for him to produce an impact play like that really changed the course of the game. I mean, I think he ran over or through 3 different defenders at each level and broke several other tackles, and then outran the last guy. We talk about Jalen Buckley almost every single week. Every single week he shows up as an impact player for us. But he shows up every single week to work during the week. And that's who he is as a person, as a player. Excited about him. Couldn't say enough great things about him, his leadership, leadership by example. And this is a big game for him. He's an Illinois native, Aurora, Illinois native. And so I'm sure he's going to have a ton of family. Going back home there will be special for him. It's also big for us. We spend a lot of time in the state of Illinois, Chicago specifically, recruiting. And so this game means a lot when it comes to recruiting and some of those battles.
Hayden didn't have a great third quarter, but his fourth quarter was phenomenal as you led the team back to a victory. How did you see his play?
Yeah, I thought Hayden did an excellent job not getting emotionally high or emotionally low at any point in the game. I think I've said this before, but his experience and the amount of games that he started in college football really shows up because he's cool as ice. I mean, he doesn't let anything rattle him. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He plays the next play. He prepares the right way. He did a great job. Did not have a very good third quarter. I don't think anybody on our team had a very good third quarter. When you give up, 21 unanswered and we can't do anything, offensively to combat that. Had a couple of special teams plays that gave them, good field position. So we had to reset and refocus for that fourth quarter. I thought he did an excellent job. He's a great leader. And when you're the quarterback, everybody looks to you to see how you're going to respond, especially when things aren't going well. And he's just stays steady. He calms the ship, and those guys feed off of that.
They got a pretty good running back, too, at Northern Illinois, Ontario Brown. He's pretty good. What do you see in his game?
Really good running back. I mean, he's electric, dynamic with the ball in his hands. They do a great job, one up front, creating those seams for him. And then you give him a crease. He can take it the distance. I think he's powerful, but he also has that explosive playmaking speed. He's got good hands to catch the football out of the backfield, and they ask him to block some. So they do a bunch of things with him. He's an important impact player for them, one who's had a great year and great game last week.
Kenny Womack, kind of extended his lead there as the Mac's leading receiver. there should be enough, game film on them for defenses to kind of clue in on them. You were a wide receiver. You coached a lot of wide receivers. How does he just get open all the time?
Kenny has a great knack of being able to work versus man or zone and know how to set up his routes to win at the top of his route. So I think he does a great job. We found, Coach Kosh has done an excellent job moving him around, finding different ways to get him the football, because the other thing that you see in Kenny's game is he's dynamic and a tough runner with the ball in his hands. And so sometimes it's just those catch and run opportunities, getting the ball to him in space, which I think Coach Kosh and our offensive staff have done a great job of. But Kenny, he works himself open. He practices hard. He's built a great relationship with Hayden. They stay after practice working on routes, and he's done a great job making the quarterback his best friend, which you want to do if you're a receiver.